We sat down with Dr. Lois Boynton, an associate professor at UNC Chapel Hill and a cancer survivor herself. Dr. Boynton is also acting as the interim executive director of the Cornucopia Cancer Support Center, a place where anyone touched by cancer can find support and resources to live life to the fullest. In this video, she shares her personal experience with cancer and talks about the things that make Cornucopia Center great.
Chemo does funky things to your senses. And I've learned all five senses have some sort of an impact. Smell is a particular issue, whether it's flowers can sometimes be overpowering, or other types of smells that either a food smell or a perfume type of a smell may seem a lot stronger because of the impact with chemo. Taste is another area, and it can stem from a couple of different things. One, when you're going through chemo, you may get mouth sores. So there are certain things that you may like fruit juice or fruits and vegetables that are too acidic, and it's very painful to enjoy them. It also, though, can affect your taste buds, and it tends to be temporary while you're going through chemo. Some people will say that they've had an impact past that. For me, it was a temporary thing. The two things that were particularly difficult for me were sweets for some reason, which was disappointing because I love them. And I drink hot tea. I'm not a coffee person, but I started drinking hot tea many years ago, and it just was way too acidic, and I was having trouble enjoying that taste. There are folks too I've talked to through cornucopia when their head and neck cancers and the radiation even is in the area that it can affect taste buds for a longer period of time or permanently. So there are, it can be a very serious long-term thing. I was kind of lucky that it was more in a short-term fashion. I had two different types of chemo treatment. I had there 4 treatments were with the kind that had an impact on taste and smell and sort of the gastrointestinal aspects. The last 4 treatments were more muscular and skin related. So I had sensitivity to skin with regard to what lotions I could use, making sure they were not perfumed. That was something of an issue because I had my skin would get itchy and sort of a rash type of thing would develop with it, and so I needed something that was it cooled it down a bit, in part because this was August. But cooled down the skin a bit and cooled down that sort of burning, itching sensation. And it was yeah, I think so. I think going through cancer opens your eyes. I mean, I family members and friends had gone through cancer, and I was knee-deep in that experience, but you don't really know it until you're the one who's going through treatment. And that's no knock on caregivers. I had fabulous people taking care of me, but it did open my eyes to some things that are of concern, and I've brought up and also encourage other participants to bring up what is it that is working for you or not working for you. How is how is your taste? What tastes good to you? What doesn't? Would talking with somebody about nutrition be helpful to you? How is your skin? How we got rid of several years ago. One of the things was making sure that we didn't have scented soaps, things like that. We asked people to tone down on their perfume if they usually wore it, because it could create a big sensitivity. So I think having been in that position to not only share my experience but encourage others to say, this is an issue for me, and how can you help me based on the fact that I'm faced with this.
Yeah.
One of the big things is your immune system is highly compromised. So that whole business of wash your hands and use hand sanitizer or whatever it is. If you've got the sniffles, love you dearly, but just call me and instead of stopping by. To just understand the aspect of the immune system. And also understanding that, even after the chemo part is done or the radiation part is done, some of these side effects will linger for quite some time. So fatigue can go on for years. What's affectionately referred to as chemo brain, where you feel fuzzy because the chemo has affected your brain, can go on for a period of time. Some people, the recovery of, getting your skin back in good working order, neuropathy can be a really difficult thing to deal with, where the chemo can actually numb particularly your extremities, your hands and your feet. That these things linger. They may not be obvious. My hair's come back in, my color is good, but I may not be feeling all that great still, and just understanding that. I think in the hospital, whenever you're there or in treatment, is one of the best things was just be yourself. This is not, we've moved beyond cancer equals you're going to die. It's very scary. There are good treatments that get us a lot farther along. And as a result of that, part of quality of life is help me keep a sense of normalcy. When I was going through treatment, friends would come, and you're in chemo, you sit there for 4 hours, you're just sort of stuck. We played games. I hadn't played Yahtzee in years. We played Yahtzee. We played Crazy Eights. We played, all sorts of games just to pass the time. And so and it also helped because then we weren't just talking about, oh, woe is me, or I feel bad for you because you're going through chemo. It was, you threw the dice and you didn't get a Yahtzee this time. Or the time we did get it, somebody did throw a Yahtzee and we scared the nurses half to death because we got very excited about it. So that sense of normalcy is really important. Just, yes, I'm going through some stuff and I appreciate you recognizing that, but I don't only want to talk about cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Cornucopia Cancer Support Center started, it'll be 20 years ago in November, as an organization to provide support services and the non-clinical types of things that are supportive for quality of life purposes. Counseling services, oncology, massage, nutrition programs, other types of educational programs, yoga, things that are supportive while you're going through medical treatment. And I got involved as a volunteer initially, and I had a lot of people who were affected by cancer since I was quite young growing up, and it seemed like a logical place for me to volunteer. And then when I was diagnosed with cancer myself, it became a haven for me because I knew what resources were there. I checked out cookbooks so that I could find the foods that I could tolerate, and we have since also worked with people who are experts in skincare, who have skin creams and things that are, first of all, non-toxic, and second of all, are comfortable, no fragrance, if it has any effect on your sense of smell, so that you can actually feel better about yourself, feel in control of something, and it can be a really, really valuable experience. One of the things I would stress with regard to Cornucopia is that it is a meet you where you are type of an organization, that we know that there's not really a one-size-fits-all for what may work for someone in helping them in coping. And so the people who are working there full-time, and service providers and volunteers, are really there they listen intently, they pay attention to who you are and how you're feeling. They follow up with phone calls just to check in. Are you doing okay? Is there anything you need? And just having another relationship with some people who know what's going on, because many of the volunteers, myself included, have been through cancer. And now that I'm in that role and I'm on the other side of treatment, when I'm in volunteering and can say, oh yes, I remember that time going through chemo and I understand what you're feeling, there's almost a sense of relief that you can relate to what I'm going through. That's so great. I really appreciate that component. I think the services as well is not only for the people who are in treatment, but we also are big advocates of helping out the caregivers, because that's probably one of the most stressful jobs in the world, and it can take its toll on the caregiver's quality of life. So the same services that are available to people in treatment are also available to caregivers, and we want to make sure that they feel they are taken care of as well. So it could be anything from we will schedule appointments back to back so that the caregiver and the patient can be there at the same time. The patient can have a therapeutic massage, an oncology massage, and we will look after them and when the caregiver goes and has theirs. So that tends to be something that works out well. So we're a good information resource, we're a good support resource, and we're just there to help make that journey as palatable as possible.